Joining me now on the program is Tom Yanac with Yanac Funeral and Cremation Services here in Mount Pocono. Tom, great to have you on the program.
Oh, thanks, George. Thanks for having me today.
You know, as always, people are procrastinators and they wait till the last minute to do things, especially with funerals. And I know it's a good idea to really work on a pre-arrangement for funeral services. Why is that?
George, it's a good idea to get that information down on paper. Sometimes folks like to go ahead and set aside the costs for funeral services and cremation services. It's just less of a situation when someone does pass away. It's much easier for their family to get through that process.
Okay. Some people have questions about whether it's a good idea to even have a funeral service. But as you've told me before, it's something that every person really needs.
Correct. It's a part of the closure. People seem to really do better when they have that time for folks to come pay their condolences. And this day and age, they're doing it in all different kinds of ways. We see things at fire halls, churches. A lot of times the funeral home isn't even involved, but it's still a good idea to memorialize that person.
People that are watching and are not familiar with Yanac Funeral and Cremation Services, tell us about what you offer here.
So here at our funeral home, we offer cremation, which is sometimes direct cremation, cremation with a memorial service, cremations with a viewing and a full funeral service, as well as traditional funerals. We also guide families when it comes to having off-site services, whether it's something at a local church or at a different venue like a restaurant. We could certainly assist you with that process as well. Once we're done here at the funeral home, we could provide you with the necessary stationery that you need. We could provide you with obituary information. We also work on death certificates, things like that, to make sure that everything is done just the way it should be for your loved one. For folks that want to have burial after cremation, you can in fact bury those cremated remains, and a lot of times they're familiar with the cemetery, and it still is the process, and we still bury those remains in a cemetery.
And you're a locally owned facility here.
Correct. We are the only locally owned facility here on the mountain. We've been here since 2015. As you know, I'm also the Monroe County Coroner, so we've been around for quite a while now.
Joining us now as a guest here at the funeral home is Michael Mancuso. He's the first assistant district attorney here at Monroe County and also a local attorney here in town. Michael, a lot of times people get themselves in trouble because they aren't organized before their death with their important papers and wills and things like that. It's important, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, George. And the word organized was one of the catchwords in my mind. You have to have your personal effects organized. So you should collect them all. You should put them in a central location, preferably a lockbox, something that may be fireproof. It doesn't have to be locked itself, but it should contain your up-to-date last will and testament, any power of attorney you might have, stock certificates, IRAs, life insurance, all that kind of stuff. A nice list of your next of kin and contact information for them. So that's organization. Is one key phrase to keep in mind for this purpose. The other is make it accessible. And you do that by keeping it together, yes, in a location where people can access it, but giving notice to people that you trust that that's where your documents will be.
You mentioned wills. Some people may not think they're important, but they are.
If you have assets that are going to pass through an estate, you have to have a will. If you're ill, you're not feeling well, maybe you have a bad diagnosis, something like that, and you want to make changes to your will, I urge you to get an attorney to do that for you, because the fact that your will be written, they call it scrivened, by an attorney, gives it a higher status, and it's very, very difficult to challenge the validity of a will like that, as opposed to handwriting something yourself, maybe asking a friend or two to come witness it.
Michael, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, George.
If people want more information about your services, how do they get it?
They can certainly go to www.yanacfuneralhome.com, or they can always give us a call at 570-839-8900.